Donald Trump's tenure as president is notorious for the constant stream of shocking revelations and controversies. But none may be as alarming as the recent bombshell report published by The Atlantic detailing the former president's unsettling admiration for Adolf Hitler's generals and his fascination with authoritarian rulers. Trump, whose relationship with America's military leaders was often fraught with tension, allegedly expressed a desire to have the kind of generals that Hitler had. This chilling revelation comes at a time when Trump's increasing authoritarian tendencies, including his disregard for democratic principles, are drawing sharper scrutiny as he prepares for a possible return to the political stage in 2024. Trump's apparent obsession with dictators and strongmen goes beyond the rhetorical flourishes of a typical politician. His words, often shielded from public view until now, paint a clear picture of someone more at ease with the loyalty demanded by authoritarian regimes than with the democratic structures of the United States. From dismissing war heroes like John McCain to praising foreign adversaries like Kim Jong-un, Trump's actions reflect a dangerous trajectory towards a totalitarian mindset, one that has been repeatedly highlighted by his former staffers and military officials. This new leak not only reveals his deep-seated admiration for Hitler's military, but also underscores a disturbing pattern of behavior that continues to alarm both his critics and former allies. These revelations, intertwined with his public statements on race, immigration, and loyalty, reveal a man obsessed with power and control at all costs. In this video, we'll dissect the contents of The Atlantic's report, examine Trump's troubling views on military leadership, and explore the broader implications of his fascist fantasies for the future of American democracy. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to reaching 5,000 subscribers, but we can't do it without you. So, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe right now. And if you're already subscribed, give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment to let me know your thoughts. Alright, let's dive right into it. A chilling admiration for Hitler's generals. The leaked statements about Trump's admiration for Adolf Hitler's generals offer a terrifying glimpse into the former president's psyche. According to The Atlantic, Trump, during a private White House meeting, expressed frustration with the lack of loyalty he perceived among American military leaders. "I need the kind of generals that Hitler had," he allegedly said, drawing a direct parallel between his desired style of military leadership and the ruthless obedience that characterized Hitler's regime. This comment is more than a passing remark. It encapsulates Trump's long-standing fixation on authoritarian power structures and his contempt for democratic institutions. Throughout his presidency, Trump made no secret of his disdain for the constitutional constraints on presidential authority, often lamenting the separation of powers that prevented him from wielding unchecked control. His admiration for Hitler's generals, who famously followed their leaders' commands without question, is a disturbing reminder of Trump's authoritarian leanings. For Trump, loyalty was the ultimate virtue, one that he sought to enforce within his own administration. His firing of high-ranking officials who refused to align with his agenda, such as former Defense Secretary Mark Esper, is a testament to this. Esper, like many others, was dismissed for his refusal to compromise on military integrity and constitutional principles. In contrast, Trump favored those who exhibited blind loyalty, a trait he repeatedly praised in figures like North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un, whose military displays total obedience to his rule. Trump's admiration for these despots and their militaries is not new. As far back as 1990, it was reported that he kept a copy of Hitler's speeches by his bedside, a detail revealed by his first wife, Ivana Trump. This disturbing revelation, combined with his more recent comments, paints a picture of a leader who not only idolizes authoritarian figures, but seeks to emulate their tactics. The Vanessa Guillen incident, a stain on Trump's military legacy. Trump's problematic relationship with the military is further underscored by his handling of the tragic death of Army Specialist Vanessa Guillen. In April 2020, Guillen was brutally murdered by a fellow soldier at Fort Hood, Texas, sparking national outrage. The case highlighted systemic issues within the military's handling of sexual harassment and violence, with Guillen's family leading the charge for reform. Shortly after her remains were discovered, Trump invited Guillen's family to the White House in what many viewed as a performative display of sympathy. While Trump publicly offered to assist with the funeral costs, privately, his true feelings were far less compassionate. According to sources close to the administration, Trump balked at the cost of the funeral, reportedly exclaiming, "It doesn't cost $60,000 to bury a Mexican." These heartless words reveal Trump's disregard for the very people he had sworn to protect as commander-in-chief. The Guillen family's attorney, Natalie Kawam, later confirmed that the family never received financial assistance from Trump, despite his public promises. The Army ultimately covered some of the costs, while the rest was paid through donations. Trump's actions in the aftermath of this tragedy reveal a leader more concerned with optics than genuine empathy, a pattern that would repeat itself throughout his presidency. A pattern of disrespect for veterans and military service. Trump's disdain for the military is not limited to the Vanessa Guillen case. Throughout his presidency, he repeatedly made derogatory comments about service members, veterans, and military families. His infamous remark about John McCain, in which he stated, "I like people who weren't captured," is perhaps the most well-known example of his contempt for those who have served. But Trump's hostility toward the military goes deeper than just one-off comments. He reportedly referred to fallen soldiers as losers and suckers during a 2018 trip to France, where he canceled a visit to a cemetery for American war dead. His refusal to honor the sacrifices of those who served was a recurring theme throughout his presidency, culminating in his administration's mishandling of issues like veterans' health care and mental health services. Former military officials who worked closely with Trump have since come forward to describe his ignorance of military values and his obsession with loyalty. Retired General Barry McCaffrey, a decorated Vietnam veteran, once remarked that Trump doesn't understand the military at all. According to McCaffrey, Trump viewed the military as just another tool to be used in his pursuit of power, rather than an institution built on principles of honor, duty, and sacrifice. Trump's obsession with dictators and strongmen. Trump's admiration for authoritarian leaders extends beyond his domestic dealings. Throughout his presidency, he repeatedly expressed admiration for foreign dictators, from Russia's Vladimir Putin to North Korea's Kim Jong-un. His infamous summit with Kim in Singapore, where he praised the North Korean leader for his firm control over his country, was widely criticized as legitimizing one of the world's most brutal regimes. Trump's comments during this meeting, in which he stated that he wished his own people would sit up at attention the way North Koreans do for Kim, are emblematic of his authoritarian aspirations. These remarks were not made in jest, but reflected deep-seated belief in the virtues of absolute power and control. For Trump, leaders like Kim, Putin, and even Hitler represented the kind of authority he craved, unquestioned, unchallenged, and unchecked by democratic norms. This fascination with dictators also influenced Trump's foreign policy, where he often cozied up to authoritarian regimes while alienating traditional democratic allies. His admiration for Putin, in particular, raised concerns about his loyalty to the United States. From the outset of his presidency, Trump sought to downplay Russian interference in the 2016 election, even as his own intelligence agencies confirmed the Kremlin's involvement. His refusal to hold Putin accountable for actions that undermined American democracy was a glaring red flag for many observers. Trump's foreign policy was characterized by a transactional approach, where loyalty to him personally was valued above all else. This was evident in his dealings with NATO, where he frequently criticized member nations for not contributing enough financially, while ignoring the strategic importance of the alliance in countering Russian aggression. Trump's transactional view of diplomacy, coupled with his admiration for authoritarian leaders, often put him at odds with America's long-standing allies and raised concerns about his commitment to upholding democratic values. Hitler's influence on Trump's rhetoric. The most alarming aspect of Trump's authoritarian tendencies is his repeated use of rhetoric that echoes Adolf Hitler's. Trump's comments about immigrants poisoning the blood of America are eerily similar to the language used by Hitler to justify the Holocaust. While Trump has denied any intentional connection to Nazi ideology, the parallels are impossible to ignore. In 1990, Ivana Trump revealed that her ex-husband kept a copy of Hitler's speeches by his bed. This revelation, combined with his more recent rhetoric, suggests a disturbing fascination with the Nazi dictator's methods of control and manipulation. Trump's repeated use of divisive and inflammatory language, particularly when discussing immigration and race, has drawn comparisons to the propaganda employed by fascist regimes to stoke fear and hatred. Trump's recent campaign video, which included a reference to a unified Reich, further underscores these troubling connections. The use of such language in a political campaign is not accidental. It is a deliberate attempt to tap into the same kind of nationalist fervor that fueled the rise of fascism in Europe. For Trump, these rhetorical flourishes are a way to galvanize his base by appealing to their fears and prejudices, while simultaneously undermining the democratic institutions that stand in the way of his authoritarian ambitions. As the United States inches closer to the 2024 presidential election, the revelations about Trump's authoritarian fantasies serve as a stark warning about the dangers of his potential return to power. His admiration for dictators like Hitler, his disdain for the military, and his willingness to subvert democratic norms all point to a leader who is fundamentally at odds with the values that underpin the American political system. The leaks about Trump's desire for Hitler-like generals are not just another footnote in his chaotic presidency. They are a window into the mind of a man who views power as the ultimate end, to be achieved by any means necessary. As the country grapples with the consequences of his presidency, these revelations serve as a reminder of the very real threat that Trump poses to the future of American democracy.